All right, and we are back once again here with another quick shot on the Climbing the Pocket Network. And here I have two of the most tape savvy, the scouting contingent of the Climbing the Pocket Network has joined me today because we're going to talk about something that you got to put on the tape to really understand what's going on. We're going to get in the trenches. We're going to talk about the O-line because after this draft, that was really the one area where people maybe felt like Rick Spielman could have done more. There were some people who felt like we really should have gone after some more interior offensive linemen. And so I brought Tyler and Matt in here to talk to us a little bit about the guys the Vikings did pick and what they think about them and what they've seen about them from the tape that they've watched. So Tyler, let me throw it over to you first. I guess before we get going too far, if you could tell the people a little bit about yourself, and then talk to me about, kind of high level who the Vikings picked in this draft.
Absolutely. Well, I've been doing scouting for a couple of years now, and I've been a diehard football fan since I saw football on TV for the first time at like 4 years old. But, one of the tough parts about watching film is understanding kind of what's going on as far as what teams want to do. And once you kind of have a grasp of that, you can really understand how these offensive linemen are utilizing what they're supposed to do, because you've got some offensive linemen that are super quick, which is obviously what the Vikings are going for. They have drafted the quickest three cone in each offensive lineman in each of the last three drafts with O'Neal, Bradbury, and now Ezra Cleveland. And then you've got some guys who are just maulers. And if you watched football in the 90s, the absolute best mauler was Larry Allen of the Dallas Cowboys. He could move mountains for you. And just being able to understand what they do and then how it translates to a guy like Dalvin Cook, who's really shifty and he can just plant his foot in the ground and take off in a hole. It makes it really fun to watch games on Sunday because you have a better understanding of what kind of concepts they're using, and then you can really think about how they're going to attack throughout the course of the game.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And then, Matt, I guess before we get too far into things, say hello to the people. Tell them a little bit about yourself and what you're going to talk to us about when it comes to some offensive linemen.
Yeah. Hi, what's up, everybody? I've loved the Vikings my entire life, right? I think the first time I saw them, I was probably about 3 years old. And my mom is a Dallas Cowboys fan. And my dad doesn't really care about football. But when I saw the purple team on TV, I fell in love with the purple team. So it kind of just moved on from there. And then as I started watching more and more football, I got more interested in kind of how everything happens, kind of like Tyler, and I kind of like to break down mechanics and that sort of stuff. So I guess if we want to jump into Ezra Cleveland, I think Tyler did a pretty good job breaking down there. You kind of have different philosophies on the offensive line, and the Vikings with Stefanski last year bringing in Gary Kubiak, we run a lot of outside zone. We require a lot of athleticism on our offensive line, right? And I think that pops off the tape with Cleveland as soon as you watch him. You can watch him climbing to the second level. You can watch him out in front on screens, that sort of thing. His movement skills and his athleticism immediately show up when you're watching it. A couple of other scouting notes I had on him, and part of this is a function of the way Boise State ran their pass game, but in the pass game, he used a lot of jump sets. Okay, so there are three different types of sets you're using when you're pass blocking as an offensive tackle. One's a jump set where you're going to jump forward and actually try to make contact with the defender first. The other, which Joe Thomas, was incredible at, was a vertical set where you actually move vertically, and then there's a 45-degree set where you move kind of outside. And I like Ezra as a jump set pass blocker a lot because I think it allows him to get his hands on the defender, and then he's athletic enough to work with the defender and kind of doesn't let the defender through him. One of the notes that I had on him is he plays kind of high, so he loses his leverage as well. And to be honest with you, 2019, I'm not super in love with the tape. Now, the one thing that you do see, I think he uses his hands well. He obviously moves well, but I think he has anchor issues. He plays kind of high. He can get knocked back by stronger defenders. But the thing is, with his athletic profile, and you can go to Mock Draftable and look it up, but it's just absolutely incredible. And tackles that are that good don't fail. I kind of have the list here. The people he compares to, just in terms of offensive line in general, are Joe Thuney, who obviously many people wanted the Vikings to go get this year, Mitch Morse, Brian O'Neill, Ali Marpet, Taylor Wan. So it's just a laundry list of great football players, right? And then the other thing I actually found out is that for the majority of 2019, he played through a turf toe injury. So he actually injured it in the Florida State game and played through it the whole year. If you go back to 2018, I think he's moving a bit better in 2018. I think he's even stronger and more effective in pass protection that year. So I'm pretty happy about the pick. He was somebody I thought we might have had to take in the first round, which I wasn't in love with value, but by the time he was at 58, I love the value there.
All right, and Tyler, I saw you agreeing there, nodding your head as Matt was talking through some of the things about Ezra Cleveland there, especially when he mentioned that he had some anger issues, and we heard some of that about Brian O'Neill. So I guess Tyler, if you could tell me a little bit, when you're comparing someone like Ezra Cleveland, who's a great athlete but maybe needs to get stronger, to a Brian O'Neill who got the same kind of knocks, criticisms coming in, but was able to translate and has obviously turned into the best offensive lineman for the Vikings. Like, how do those two compare as prospects for you?
Honestly, coming out of college, they're pretty much identical. Ezra Cleveland is a little bit of a better athlete. I mean, as Matt said, if you go look at the mock draftable spider web, you're talking a 98 percentile free cone, 94 percentile 20-yard shuttle. His broad jump is 90%. He does have 2% hand size, but honestly, if you're able to get the hands on the defender, I don't really care that much about your hand size. His arm length is capable, but the biggest issue with both O'Neill and Ezra Cleveland was that anchor. And probably the best thing that you can hope for with an offensive lineman, if there's any kind of deficiency, is anchor issues. Because all that means is a summer or two in the weight room, and you just get stronger. Because that's all it is brute strength. The fact that he uses those jump pass sets, as Matt identified earlier, really helps him, because if you can get your hands on the guy first, you can really alleviate a lot of those anchor issues, because you can get them off balance, and then you can really utilize what power you have to get him down to the ground. And then if you're just doing something like an outside zone and you're able to use kind of like a jump set in the run game, and you just get one hand on the outside shoulder and just knock him off balance, and then you're going to have ideally Riley Reef come in and take him out, and then they can move Ezra Cleveland to the second level, and then he can take out a linebacker, and then all of a sudden you've got Dalvin Cook going off tackle, and he can get 8-10 yards or even bust one out. Cleveland is a long-term project, but he has capabilities to start day one. You just have to understand that if he's going up against a Khalil Mack, he's going to have struggles, because that converting that speed to power and knocking him back is going to give issues. You have guys like Kyle Rudolph, DJ Ham, Herb Smith, just a little chip block, help him out a little bit early on, give him those ideal reps. And I'm 100% with Matt. In round one, I would have absolutely hated the pick, because this is a true boomer bust player. And with the holes that we had on this team, you need contributors day one who also project out. And we got those Jefferson and Gladney. Ezra Cleveland could be the next Brian O'Neill. He could be an absolute home run in round two. And because we have a track record developing O'Neill into a guy in year two who got all pro votes, then I have good hopes for Ezra Cleveland to be able to grow as our future left tackle and become a successful player in the National Football League.
Well, Tyler, I feel like you might have just answered the next question, because as you were going through and kind of imagining what it would look like in your mind, sounded like you already had Ezra Cleveland stepping in right in at the left tackle spot, Reef moving inside, and the left side of the line is set up for this year, and then maybe we figure out what we're doing with Reef as we move into the future. Is that what you're hoping for? And I guess, Matt, just follow up on that. If you could let me know what you're hoping the offensive line looks like, especially on that left side where there seems to be so many questions.
I think with Reef's skill set, he could transition to guard. I know a lot of Vikings fans just think of the Mike Remmers experiment. Look, Remmers is a right tackle. He's a power mover. He did not have the leverage in order to get down on the inside and play guard. And when you have those issues, you're going to have struggles. Reef, on the other hand, has a lot of good technique. He plays with a solid base, and he doesn't lose leverage battles. He loses to speed rushers. We're going to talk a little bit about that with Blake Brandel here in a little bit, because he experienced the same thing. And because he has those issues, but he doesn't have issues with technique, I think he's going to be able to transition well enough into guard. And Arif Hassan has talked about it a little bit too. It's about traits that transition. We talk about all the time with college prospects. What do they do well at the college level that's going to transition to the pro game? Production is a great thing, but it doesn't always translate. Reese has the skill set to move into guard. He's going to be on the left side, so he's still going to be doing some of the same things with his body. It's not going to be flipping sides of the field where all of a sudden it's going to be like riding with your left hand and going to right with your right hand. So I think no matter what, if Ezra Cleveland proves in camp, whatever kind of camp we have, that he is capable of playing offensive line, I think you take the risk, you play him at left tackle, you move Reese inside to guard. Hopefully Drew Samia becomes that right guard. We've all heard that the Vikings are high on him. If that is the offensive line going into week 1, I'm feeling pretty good about it. I don't feel fantastic because I think Ezra Cleveland still needs time, but it's better than what we rolled with last year with Elfline, and that's an improvement to me.
Yeah, so I'm on board with you there, Tyler. I think ideally, right, you would like to see Cleveland slot in to left tackle right away and move Reef inside to guard. I agree with you that I don't think Reef has the same technique issues that Remmers did that prevented him from transitioning well to guard, so I think Reef will be fine as a guard. The one thing I would note is that with the shortened offseason, which at the very least we're going to have a shortened offseason, I'm a bit concerned about the Vikings' willingness to put Cleveland in there right away. I'd rather have Cleveland on the outside than move him inside because I think Reef struggles with speed issues or something that Cleveland doesn't have, and that's something that's going to be relatively unique to playing left tackle, right? So I'd rather have the person who doesn't struggle with speed play there. I agree with you, Samia, right guard. I have a feeling we might see something where for a few games we have Reef at left tackle and Elfline at left guard, and then after they feel Cleveland's more comfortable because of the shortened offseason, they might kick Reef inside and insert Cleveland at left tackle.
Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Good Morning Gallup. This is the point in this show where we are going to cut it and have part 2 tomorrow. Yes, that's right. We're going to have part 2 tomorrow. We'll bring back Jason, Tyler, and Matt to talk about all the other offensive linemen and what they can do and what you may expect. So we look forward to you coming back tomorrow. And as always, thanks for watching. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. And as always, skol!